All righty, we're at the top of the hour. Good morning, everyone, or afternoon where you reside now that we are here in Arizona on PST time zone. Today, I am working off a Bimbox laptop. If you are all interested in what type of solutions we offer in terms of hardware, please reach out to us here at ATG. That is currently what I am working on and use primarily for production work or any type of design work that I'm doing here at ATG. But let's move forward and talk about what we're going to talk about today. Today, we're going to be talking about customize your workflow in Bluebeam Revu. For those of you that are new here or haven't heard of me from the Morning Coffee Review series, nice to meet every single one of you. And those of us listening in from YouTube, maybe we're watching this recording, please like and subscribe. Leave a comment. We go through and review those. I do as well on my personal account to answer any questions if you're watching this in the recording on YouTube. So feel free to comment, like, please subscribe. Check us out on YouTube. There's a bunch of recordings there as well. And from our Morning Coffee Review series, which is all about Bluebeam as a company. We are a Bluebeam Platinum partner here at ATG USA. My name is Michael Chave. I'm a Bluebeam certified instructor, and my role here is a senior AEC technical specialist. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to y@atgusa.com. But primarily here today, we're going to be talking about Bluebeam Revu and customizing your workflow in Bluebeam Revu. Again, at any point, ask any questions. I have my chat open. I have the Q&A. We have upvote enabled in the Q&A. So more upvotes on a question, the more they're going to get answered, or just use the chat feature. That also works as well. I'm going to launch a poll just to get a pulse on where everyone is at within Revu in terms of knowledge, what our discipline is, so we can kind of tailor this to your specific workflow. Today, I was going to talk about primarily maybe getting a count or creating a specific custom count and exports for columns in my columns lists. So if you want to go through and maybe do something different, I'm just trying to get a pulse on where everyone's at with this. So I'll give it a couple of seconds. This also allows time for people to roll in here a little bit of extra as we start talking about things in Revu. Two people have not answered. That is fine. So it looks like we have about 79% of us have not checked out the Morning Coffee Review series. This is a series myself and another Bluebeam certified instructor have introduced to the community. It's actually been officially a year since we've had it, which is great. But basically what that is a series. It's like a live podcast, not structured like this, a webinar. Where we're going through and sticking to a script, really it's just an outline, but not going off on tangent. It is every Tuesday morning at 8:30 CST. If you would like a link, please let me know. I will go through and, thanks for telling me I had it on pause. Here we are. Thank you for the comment there. But going back to talking about the Morning Coffee Review series, it's a series that we offer for free every Tuesday at 8:30 CST. Myself and another Bluebeam certified instructor talk about all things Bluebeam as a whole. There's a topic that we are covering, but it's really just to fill time and dead space. Everything else is open for the community to ask questions. There's 3 of us that have gone to it. There's 12 of us that have not gone to it. So be aware, that is a free series. You can check it out on our calendars and join any of them. There's also past YouTube videos of all the Morning Coffee Review series. We have 74 videos and over 10,000 views on all those. It's great. Please like, please subscribe if you want to check those out and you can't make that time. Next one is discipline specific. So it looks like we're half and half with other and construction. I guess I should have said estimization. I would really like to know what those others answered as, what their current role is. If you answered as other, feel free to use the chat to tell me what position you're in and what you're going to be using Revu for. That way I can help kind of tailor it to your end. So everyone here is currently a Bluebeam Review user, which is great. And then what level are we? We have kind of a mix. Most folks, it seems like, are intermediate. Other civil engineer, I apologize. Jason Arley would be so upset with me that I didn't put civil in there. I should have put civil. That is my fault. Civil is a very important part of the design process. Thank you, Raymond. Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you, Adam. All righty, so let's move forward. What are we going to be talking about specifically today? We're going to talk about your workflow and customizing your profiles. We're going to talk about tool sets specific to profiles. We'll talk about the markups list and creating custom exports. So here's our objective. Yeah. Sorry, Hector and Rebecca, Adam and Raymond. I didn't put civil. Back to learning objectives. So we're going to learn how to create a custom profile. We'll also learn how to export out custom profiles and why we may use a custom profile. And we'll also talk about creating custom markups and save them in your tool chest. I'm going to customize some. If you have a specific type of markup you'd like to learn how to create, please use the Q&A area or the chats so I can tailor it to you all. This is all for you, the community, and talking about the specific topics as we go along. We're also going to customize your markups list for the most efficient export. So if you want to learn how to create a specific export and how to share that company-wide, maybe making a company standard, we'll also talk about that as we go along here. But I don't believe in death by PowerPoint by any means. Yes, this is recorded and you will receive it. It will also be on YouTube as well. Again, if you're watching this on YouTube, please like and subscribe. We're going to go right into review because I do not believe in death by PowerPoint. So let's hop on in. I'm currently in the most up-to-date version of Bluebeam Review. And if you do not know what version you are currently in, you can always go up to the top left up here, go to About. So under the menu bar at the top, you have About. And from About, you have what type of version you are currently using. I am currently in Extreme and I have 20.2.6. Now, there is nothing that I'm going to be showing you today that is relevant to only Extreme, unless somebody comes up with a question about quantity link that is specific to Extreme. Today, there's nothing specific to Extreme, nothing specific to CAD. It'll all be in that standard version. So if you don't know what version you are in, be aware of that. Also be aware if you are not in review 20, end of life is happening. What's today's date? The 16th. End of life is happening on March 21st, 2023. For all older versions, you will not have access to Studio. If you have any questions about end of life, there is a survey at the end. You can get more information there by asking for it, or check out our YouTube channel. We also have end of life conversation in the morning coffee review series. So if you go to our YouTube channel and go to the list of the morning coffee review series, we did an hour conversation about it. They announced end of life for all older versions of review 19 and below come March 21st, 2023. If you have any questions, you can also answer now. We'll have enough time to go through and talk a little bit about that. But alrighty, so let's hop into review. I am here. Let's talk about what profiles are. Some folks may have never seen profiles, and what does that mean? It is not our MySpace profile, which I don't even know if MySpace is currently active anymore. But MySpace used to be able to customize your top 8, 10 friends. You used to be able to put a music video on there or a cool background, right? You're customizing your user interface, your profile, the way you want it to look. Same thing here. So in review, you're able to customize the user interface to look a specific way for your toolbar menus or your panels, which are icons, even your tool sets, even all the way down into your custom markups list is all tied directly to your profile. So if I switch my profile here, if I go to the top menu at the top, review, profiles, over to the right, if I select any of these ones that I have, typically out of the box, you're going to have review, review advanced, quantity takeoff, and field issues. If I select one of these, it's going to change the way the user interface looks. It also changes what available tool sets I have, and it also goes through and changes the organization of my markups list. So be aware of that. the profiles tie to multiple things, not just the UI as you're creating your profile. Now, some questions usually pop up here of why would I create a different profile? Or what is the need for your multiple profiles? Profiles can be used for different workflows. They can be used for different disciplines in your firm. They can also be used as a company standard. So you have all of those options of going through and creating these. And typically what I'll start off with is talking about how you can move things around the user interface, how you can add things to your toolbar menus, and those types of items. So we'll start there, and then we'll move over into creating custom tool sets and custom markups and tailor it specific. I'm going to do mine specific to structural. If there's anything specific you would like to see, please ask in terms of custom markups, but my whole leader head here would be more structural design set, which again, it's a workflow. You can then think of your workflow and tie the same way into it as well, okay? This is the structural steel profile I downloaded from Bluebeam's website. If you didn't know, Revu does have a web browser in it. It is Control-T. And from here, I actually have the saved tool custom content that they have. I will put this in the chat as well if you want to get access to some of this stuff. But if I scroll on down, they have these profiles. Yes, the UI looks completely different. This is their older version of 2017, but guess what? Their profile still works in the newer version. So just be aware of that. You can click on this. They have an oil and gas profile as well. They also have some custom tool sets, which I'll be talking about here as we go along with our conversation and our webinar. Okay, so hopping back in, you have your toolbar menus at the top. You can always right click in a toolbar location and add new existing ones. These are the ones from out of the box. So when you install Revu, you have all of these options. The ones with checks next to them are being shown. Ones with no checks are not being shown. Now, some folks always ask or have the question of, well, can I customize the way these look? Can I customize commands that are already existing in them? You can. The one quick way is if you know where the command is, like markup, you can go, I need to have a PDF open to get access to doing this. But as you're hovering over the command, you can actually pin it to an existing toolbar. You can also see which one it's already in with the check next to it. So text box is already added to the text toolbar. So as you're going along, there's this pin icon, and this allows you to add it, not singularly. You can double up, triple up, quadruple up to a toolbar if you wanted to. The other way is going through and right-clicking, going to customize. And from here, you can customize your toolbars. These are your toolbar, whatever ones you've created. You can even create your own. And then down below, so if I select one of these, we'll just pick advanced, for instance. They have the commands in the advanced toolbar listed here. As you can see, some of them do not have a check because they're not being shown when this one is selected. So be aware when you're going through and looking at this. This is the toolbar menu here. We have hyperlink, we have stamp, we have file attachment, we have count, perimeter, and area. But there's other ones that are not being shown. And all I have to do is hit the checkbox next to it, hit apply, and it will show in that toolbar menu. You can also reorder these if you want them to be in a different order than they already are. Again, you can just go and hit the up arrow, select which command you want. On the left-hand side over here, you have different categories. So these categories allow you to select the commands from your selectable categories. I typically go all, and then from here, you can scroll down, look around, grab whatever command you want and add it to your toolbar. Then you can check it if it's going to be displayed or not. And then the total toolbar, if it'll be shown in your Revu interface. So this is how you go through and customize your toolbars specific to your profile as well, because they follow automatically with your profile. Now, if I closed out I added some things. If I closed out, I opened up, Review is going to remember that instance of things that you've changed. But if you wanted to save it and share it, you need to always go to Profile and then hit Save Profile, because it's rewriting over that existing saved location versus cached locally. That way, when you share this structural steel, it'll be updated from that instance. Now, I don't recommend overwriting the existing ones. And if you do, you can always go back and reset your settings so that they're back to default. What you want to do is you want to go down to Manage Profiles right here. And for Manage Profiles, you're going to have the Manage Profiles windows populate. These are all of my available profiles. The current one that I have active is the structural steel. You can click Add. It's going to start from whichever one you had active. So everything will stay the same from the one that you were currently active in, but you're going to add a new one with a new name. You can decide whatever you want to name it, and then you'll see it in here. Now, this is where you export as well. These are saved out if you want to write this down as .bpx file extensions. There also is the availability to include dependencies. What does that mean? If I just hit export and do not have this checked, it's only going to export out the user interface. It will not include any of your tool sets, and it will not include your organization of new custom markups. New custom columns in your markups list. So be aware of that. It will also won't include your line styles or your hatch patterns that you've created either. So this is mostly important if you want to include all of those embedded items into your profile. If you just want the user interface, then deselect this, come over here and hit export. So those are your options as well. Now, when you hit modify over here, it's just going to allow you to rename it. You can also delete it. You can import them in this manner as well. I prefer the double click option from File Explorer or wherever it's located in your maybe email in an Outlook or on a PDF. If you double click it, it's going to quickly populate Open Review and load that profile in. So whatever way you want to go through and import it, it's completely up to you. I really prefer the double click feature as you're going along and doing that. Again, it's personal preference. It's up to you. So that's how you go through and create your new profile. You'll see it here, and whichever one has a check next to it is the current active profile. So again, we went through and talked about going and customizing our toolbars, and then we went and covered how to create a custom tool set. Any questions, or what questions do we have about the toolbar menu or maybe the profiles and how to create them? All righty, no questions. So we'll move forward. Again, at any point, Q&A is open. So is the chat feature. So either one, you can shoot them in there. Adam, if you want to just show the statuses, you can, but we'll have to run a trial. I don't know if it's going to show the markup and then the status. But yes, we can go through and show you how to customize your markups list to show just statuses. But let's go down here and talk about our icons. So maybe we want to move around our icons, which are our panels. If we want our panels to be in a different location, these can be dragged to different sides. You can always right click on the icon and attach to the left, right, or bottom, or detach it. These can be moved outside the user interface. Where the toolbar menus can't, if you have the line of dots here, you can move these around the UI and redock them to different locations. But what you can't do is you can't move them outside the user interface. However, panels, you can. Another question may be, well, Mike, does that save to the profile? Does it populate open? Yes, it does. And if this is on a second screen, I have a second screen over here. If the person that opens the profile and doesn't have a second screen, what happens? The panel will just default to the center of their screen. So be aware, those are some of your options. I'm going to attach this back to the left, drag this back up there. And you have that option of moving around your panels. No need to say sorry, Adam. I'm here to help, and we'll run through it and see what the best case scenario is for talking about just exporting statuses. Alrighty, so we covered going through and talking about toolbars. We covered talking about our panels. We talked about custom profiles. Let's talk about custom markups, right? I'm going to switch back to my, I think I'm already in it. Yep, Steel. I should have known because here's the tool sets. So as you're going through and creating custom markups, the typical workflow may be to not reuse them. Right here in your recent tools, you'll have an itemized of every instance of what recent markups you've placed, not of the instance of the PDF, but in the instance of review. If I close out, your recent markups will go away. They'll be deleted. And what you want to do is either move them up to a My Tools, which is default in every single profile, or a custom tool set that you've created. Now, for this instance, I'm going to make a little bit of customization of this. You have your dynamic options bar that populates when you have a markup created. I'm just going to go through and change some colors just to show you some different modes of these markups. Now that I've customized it over here in my recent tools, you'll see the revision cloud with the properties of this new markup. This is what we call properties mode. So if I select the markup, I have the ability to go through and remake the same exact markup. Remake the same exact properties of the markup in whatever type of revision cloud shape I want. If you want an exact copy of the original one made, you can double click on that markup and it becomes drawing mode. So you have two different modes, drawing mode or properties mode. You can always right click if you don't like the double click feature and switch to properties mode, switch back to drawing mode, which again, exact same copy of the original one. If you bring it up to My Tools, you'll save it into My Tools and it will have a number next to it. This is helpful for organization, but it is also helpful to help you with a quick access of your hotkey. So if I quickly type in 28 on my keyboard, I have this lovely little dot here, which will allow me to place it. So again, quickly placing these, this is the only tool set, My Tools, that has the hotkeys associated to them. So just be aware of that. No other ones have that. That is the great feature about My Tools, is that you get that number association to your hotkeys for your number pad. Now, up here in My Tools, you have the gear symbol. This allows you to see your markups in a different manner. For this top portion, you have symbol mode, which is just the icon of the markup, or detail mode, which is the icon, the subject matter. This is going to come full circle in terms of how we're creating our workflow. You want to tailor the subject matter to whatever the markup's going to pertain to. You also can add a comment and a label if it is a count. You can't add a comment if it is a measurement type of markup. You can add a label though. They switch that. So you don't get the comment if it's a measurement, but you get a label. This is all going to play into effect of when you're going down into your markups list and try to itemize your data. Same thing with Adam was asking, when you're creating a custom status, you can itemize by that specific data of maybe completed, which is what I'm assuming, Adam, you're going to want is, are things marked completed? What can I do with those? And we'll talk about that. Alrighty, that's the detail mode. The other one is setting a scale. So if you ever needed to go through and set a scale to a markup, you can. So you can make live measurements in review if we didn't know. You set a scale to a page. And if you want your markups to scale to that page, maybe for a space planning or something like that, or a correct size of a detail, so it's not super large, you can go through and set a scale to your markups in that specific area. The icon will populate right here, and you can click it on and off. So it doesn't always have to be a set scale. You can decheck it. That way, when you place it, it's whatever scale you drew it at. Sorry, my watch thought I was talking to it, but I'm not. You can also create a legend is the second part. The legend will itemize all of the specific markups in that specific tool set. So again, legends are specific to the tool set when you go from the gear symbol here. If you want to create another legend, you can also do it down here by going and hitting Shift through multiple or Control, right-clicking and saying legend. That's the instances from your markups list. So there's two ways to create a legend. Yes, another question I've had before, you are not able to save a legend you have to recreate a new legend for whatever PDF you're in, because that's how it's itemizing your legends. You can't pre-create an organization of how it looks, unfortunately, not yet, at least. If you ever want to suggest something like that, up here in the help area, you can make a suggestion. They listen, Bluebeam listens to the community. Most tools, most functionality have come from you all, users of Bluebeam Review. So back to here. Now below that, you can actually pin a tool set to one of your toolbars. So if you wanted to go through and do that, you have that option. And then you can hide it, which is the same way of going up to the tool chest here, clicking the drop down. As you can see, ones that I've checked are being displayed. Oh, they have Bluebeam ones here. I actually haven't gone through and done this. That's funny. So as you're going through and looking at these, you can see that they've added some that aren't being displayed and some that are being displayed in this specific profile. Now, if I go to manage tool sets here and I look down at all their available ones, you can see on the right-hand side this column that says show in all profiles. By default, my tools and recent tools shows in every single profile. These other ones that Bluebeam has added to this specific profile that they've created aren't showing in all profiles. As you can see, I was a little surprised and find this funny. Acrobat Plus has been released and there's the cost for it, which is way more expensive. This is probably way outdated because it says 2014 here. But if we didn't know, Acrobat is more expensive than Bluebeam Review with on maintenance as well. So if you ever had any questions about that, you're all users anyways. But if you're listening in on YouTube and you had questions about cost value for it, again, you're getting money back by switching to this, and you get more value with this as well. But you have, again, options to select some of these to be shown or not. Now, if you wanted to show these in all profiles, you can't be selective. That's the one gripe I have, is that you can't be selective. Maybe I want it in some profiles, but not all. You can't. It's either this one or all. You can select one, you can hit modify, and then you have the option to show in all profiles. Now, this is the other added benefit here that most folks don't know. I could, if I wanted to, export this out to a .csv file, my tool sets, and modify it from here. Maybe I have someone that is not familiar with Bluebeam Review, but they want to create their own custom punch key data for the markups list, right? Let me go here, boom. And it's open. So you can easily go into here and change this data if you wanted to, and then bring it back in so that the data is updated directly here. So those are some options if you wanted to go through and customize some of the data associated to these markups. Now, exit out of here. You can export these tool sets. These are .btx file extensions. So if you wanted to share them with colleagues or other users, you have that option. I love doing this workflow of attaching the tool set to a PDF in studio sessions. That way, if I'm out in the field on my iPad, I have access to my tool sets. This is also going to be playing into a huge effect of tool sets in what Bluebeam has not released yet, but has talked about at XCon, Bluebeam Cloud. You're going to be able to bring your tool sets over to this new solution called Bluebeam Cloud. So be aware, .btx file extensions for your tool sets are going to be huge moving forward and implemented in a lot of features of new releases of different solutions. All right, so hit exit out of here. Let's go and look at my custom shapes. So my custom shapes here, if some of us don't come from the structural world, I could go from the symbol mode to detail mode so we know what these are. These give a little bit of explanation of what they are as they're being placed on our set. So let me go through and look at my set here. And again, if there's a specific workflow or specific markup that you all want to see how to create, we can take the time to go through and do that as well. But as I'm here and I want to go through and maybe count my specific columns here. There's a question here. I don't Currently here as Platinum Partners, they haven't released the structure of Bluebeam Cloud. So unfortunately, we can't give you an answer yet. Once they let us know, we will be able to let you know how they're going to be incorporating Bluebeam Cloud as a cost figure was the question. Currently, we don't know. And once we do know, though, we will let you all know how that's going to be incorporated. Alrighty, so let's go through. I know this isn't the correct size for my HSS, but I want to go through and place an itemized count for my HSS. And this isn't actually the size I want it to be at. I want it to be a little bit closer to what the existing one is. What I can go down here and do is select my gear symbol and set a scale to these. If I'm correct, most of the tool sets out of Bluebeam's website for those contents are actually at 1/4 of an inch. So if I hit apply here, I set my scale to my page. Let's see, yep, 330 seconds. So down here in my bottom navigation bar, I have the ability to set scale directly from here. If we've never set scale in Revu, what you can do is also go up to Tools, Measure, Set Scale here. Or you can go to your measurements panel, which is a little ruler, and go to Calibrate or a preset scale of 330 seconds. And I'm going to be done now with that. Now what I can go through and do is as I place this on my set, it's scaled appropriately. Now there's one of two things you can do to go through and look and place some of these itemized counts for them. Currently, right now, these are not actually a count feature. So maybe you've taken the time to make your custom markup, but it's not currently a count feature. How can we go through and do that? So what you can do is you can select an existing one and right click, and you can create a count. Now you cannot do this from the recent tools. So if I go to the recent tools up here, I can't create a count from the recent tools. It has to be added to a tool set. But once it's been created as a count, you can see down here, it has a new measurement symbol directly underneath it. That is now a count. It also doesn't transfer the data of the original markup. So what I need to go through here and do is name this as HSS, cap lock on, 8 by, and I know I have a larger symbol, but it's a little bit harder for me to see, by 3/8. There we go. Now on the right-hand side, you have a label option, whatever you want to label as. Maybe I put columns here instead of my size. So then I have my size here. So column, sorry. Or I could do HSS and what the size is. Let's do that. I'm going to do this and name this HSS. And then actually, as I placed one, I want to go back and place this existing one. I didn't know that that happened. Counts don't scale. That's new to me. Maybe it's because I did it opposite, but we'll continue onward and then I'll answer that for myself later. Now, if I go through and replace one here, I can, of course, regroup this together or rescale it. So if I wanted to move this down a little bit to get a different organization of it, I have that option of going, bringing this in, bringing this down. Maybe we're going to different size here. You will go the correct, accurate size and measurement for it. I am not. I am just doing this to get a new one, and I can drag it down to here. So you can left click, hold, and drag them to add them to a tool set, or you can select the markup, right click, and go and add to a tool set if you wanted to from your tool chest. Now within here, I can then right click again, and I can create as a count. I can rename this what I want to. This can be HSS. Then I'm going to go into here. We'll just see what that size is. So I'm going to go to my column schedule, C2. C2 is a 6 by 6. So I'm going to go over here and say this is a 6 by 6 and 3/8 is what we'll do. So now I've created two different ones. The reason why I'm creating two different ones for you all is to show you why I'd want to do my subject as HSS and a label of a different size. So what you can do is two different things when you're going through and creating an itemized count. Now I don't, since it's a square, It's going to be a little bit harder to go through and look for those. I'd probably search by my name of this, what it is. So if you go to the search feature, it's a panel. I don't have it shown yet. So I can go show, I can go search, or Alt+1 to populate it. I'd probably search for the text here versus the image, but heck, let's go through and look at the image of the one's place and see what we can populate from that. So I'm going to go and do a rectangle here. This is a trial for everyone. So let's go here and see. I'm telling Revu to search for every single thing that looks exactly like this on my PDF set, just a current document or current page. I'm going to do current page. I don't want to have it look everywhere. You could do current document. It could be a closed file. The sensitivity below is going to determine the amount of what's around it by placing this markup that I've created as a count. I'll probably do that since it's such a good image of it and see what we get. This is the scroll bar of sensitivity of what it's looking if there's things around it. I know this set's probably going to be okay with going more refined, to be honest, because nothing touches in past the base plate. Again, at any point, if you have any questions, feel free to ask as we go through and talk about this. Yes, this is not a morning coffee review series, so we have to stay on topic most of the time. Okay, so it's found 22 of these. Now, what you could do is click on these to verify where they are. It's better if you do this as a click and verify where they are. Or you could do this, which is your Thunderbolt, and apply count, which is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go through and select that. Oops, I need to check these. And it probably would have been better to do the text because some of these probably aren't C2s, right? So as I went through and placed them, they're not actually from the C2 category. So let me go through and delete that. Down here in the markups list, you can have that itemized count for those specific sizes. And I'm just going to go through and delete. Because what I'm going to do is the text. But be aware, you can go through and search by that. I'm going to search for everything that says C2. Oops. And search. So it's found these. Current page, you can go through and click. And what you can do from here is check and apply counts. You're probably going to have the one that shows up in the schedule as well. So just be aware that that's where those are placed. And for instance, these ones here, you're not going to want. So you can always select, I don't know where that placed this one out in the open. Oh, that was when I was testing it. So I can delete this one here, but this is in the sequence of count. So as you hover over it, it tells me 9. So it tells me the size and then 9 below that because that's the count of those. You can actually go through and delete that specific one from the group. So since I hovered over this specific one, it's saying delete this one. This will delete all of them. This is going to delete that specific instance of that one. And if you wanted to resume your count from them, you can always right-click on the count organization and resume count right here. Now, what did that do? Down in my markups list, I now have the itemized count for all of these instances. I, fortunately enough, have created a cost value for them prior. So if you wanted to create a custom column for cost to get an itemized total cost versus going to Excel, you could do that here as well. I'm also going to tackle your thing, Adam. I haven't forgot about your export of this either. We'll talk about that when we're organizing the data. I should probably move that. Thank you. So as we're going through here, back to where these were at, I have the option of applying a cost, and I could have done this before, but let's show you how to create the cost column in your markups list. So we went through, and before we talk about cost and the markups list, we went through, searched for some text, created a count, and applied the counts everywhere. Is there a specific markup that someone would like to learn how to create for their workflow that you may have had a question and need assistance with? Feel free to ask now. We'll give it about a minute, and then I'm going to go forward and talk about the markups list. Okay. So we'll move onward. Again, this is for you all that are listening in, tailored in, or if you're watching on YouTube, leave in the comments area. If you have a question or a specific markup that you're looking help on creating, I'll read it. Yeah, so Rebecca, if you had a symbol that you wanted, you can't import them from a .dwg extension. But what you can do is you can grab them from your symbol list or export them out at whatever scale you want from your design software onto a PDF because it's seen as a .pdf extension. What you can do here, though, is you can go and say edit, and you can snapshot that, or you can trace over it, whichever you prefer. And then you'll have it here in your tool set under My Tools. Oops, sorry, I had to paste it. Control V to paste it. But here it is. So now I can reuse this wherever I'd like. You can change colors with these as well. So I bring this down to my steel shapes. I can go down, and you probably want to set what it is, like your step and footing. So let me step and footing. And now what I can do here is I can change colors from this as well if you wanted to. It's up to you. You don't have to, but I can say, hey, everything that was black in here needs to be red, right? So just like that, I've created my own custom one. Boom, there we go. And scale set, I don't want scale set. You can scale these up and down if you want to make it larger or smaller. That's probably going to be your best workflow, or you can trace over it. Again, if you're setting a scale, you need to know what scale you exported it out from. Okay. Now moving onward, move my face over here, go down to here, talking about your custom markups list or creating custom markups. Typically, your custom markups list is organized from out of the box, but what you have the option of doing is moving your columns around, and you can select the top header of the column to organize your data by that specific item. So like subject, I click subject, and it's itemizing things by the subject that they fall into. Let me go down and make this comment too, so that we could see this markup too, so we could see both these. So as we're going through and itemizing these and looking at them, you can move the columns around if you wanted as well. So subject, if I wanted to left click and hold and select this arrow and move it to a different location, you have that option of placing it somewhere else. Left click, hold, drag over. As we're going through and moving this data, you also have the markups list drop down right here with available columns. So these are all out of the box except for cost and total cost. I created those. I'm going to show you how to create them as well in some other columns. But the other ones are all out of the box. If you select them, they will populate in your markups list. Again, you can reorganize the way these are shown here. And you can only sort by one column though, so be aware. If you select the header of the column, it's going to sort by that data. There's an up arrow by alphabetical order or the other alphabetical order the other way. So descending or ascending from them. You have those options. So, okay, Adam. What I would recommend you do for your question, because I don't know if I'm going to have time, join the morning coffee review. That is the best time to ask any question like this. If you have a specific workflow question, it's every Tuesday at 8:30 CST. We'll be able to answer it in depth, more so than I would be able to here to kind of run you through it. Thanks. How do you get the markups list? Okay, so the markups list is the icon of 3 dots and a dotted line, vertical and horizontal 3 lines. If you do not see the markups list, you just right click on the panel, go to show, and you have the markups list here, or Alt plus L for the hotkey. When you click this, it populates it open. And then from there, you'll see all of your itemized data. For those of us that didn't know and maybe are new to the markups list, every single markup is itemized down your markups list for whatever PDF you have open. So no matter what type of markup you're making, where you're making it, it'll be itemized every instance on there. Now that I have it open, you have the option of going through and looking at everything that's been placed. Now, if you wanted to create a custom count with a cost value to it, you can go to the Markups List columns. These are your available columns. And then you can go to Manage Columns down here. These are your out-of-the-box ones. Over here to the right is your custom columns. And this is where you can go through and create custom columns specific to whatever you need to create. You hit Add here. You can create a check mark, choice, date, formula, number, text. I did a numerical one with 2 decimal places. I called it cost. The format wasn't normal. It was currency, and that's how I created my cost one. Then I did a total cost, which was a formula-based one. It was count times cost, gives me a format of currency. I wanted to include totals, and that's what I was given here. The important part here is by default, it saves to the PDF. But if I wanted to save these custom columns to the profile, I need to hit Save Profile here. Jose, sorry. I know it's 6 a.m. I'm on the PST time zone as well. I have to wake up super early. We had a West Coast series of the morning coffee review. There just wasn't enough engagement for us to keep doing it, unfortunately. If we start getting enough requests, we'll do twice a week, but it wasn't twice a week. It was once a month. We were doing that series for the MCR. There just wasn't enough engagement, unfortunately. So we kind of found a happy medium and just did the CST time zone. I know it's super early, but it's unfortunate that we didn't get enough engagement from the community to have a second one. I know, at least 7 a.m. It was 7 a.m. until the time changed. You can hop in late, right? So you can hop in at 7 a.m. You don't have to be there right on the dot of 6:30 when it starts. You can hop in at 7 a.m. You can be in the middle of it and still get your questions answered, right? Because we're always there to answer any question that you ask. So you don't have to hop in right on time. Alrighty, so going back into here, you can assign now a cost value to it. Also from here in the markups list, if you select your custom markup, before you place it, you can go to the gear symbol, scroll down to the bottom, you'll see custom. This is where you can pre-add a value to it. So if I type in, I don't know, we're just gonna say $20. No, it's not. But if I hit enter, now whenever I place this one, it will have a cost value associated to it. Since I've already placed my other ones prior to the cost being assigned to the markup, I need to go in and add these. So we'll type in 20 here just for that, and we'll type in 50 just for this. So what's happening? We have our cost value times our amount. That gives us the total cost, and our total cost overall is right above it. So this is how you would go through and create a cost estimate. Now, this is specific to count. You could do this for an area measurement. Maybe you're trying to get the cost of concrete pouring, or maybe you're trying to get land infill for more of the civil folks. We have all of those options of going through and creating these custom costs or custom counts specific to what your needs are, or maybe a utility cover. All of these options are available. The possibilities are almost endless for what you want to go through and create in your specific environment. All right, we have no other questions. We went through and talked about that. Now let's talk about exporting these. What's the great feature of exporting our markups? So right here is the up arrow of the summary, which allows us to export these out as a CSV file or .pdf extension. Now down here below, you have your markups lists that itemize, again, all of your data. However they're shown, however they're sorted, by default is how this is going to print out. Now, if you want this to print out in a little different of a method, you have columns on the left-hand side that allow you to deselect things that are printing out. You also have filter. So if you wanted to go through and filter out things that you do not want to show, you have the option of filtering them out. Like maybe I only wanted to see my HSS columns, which again, this is why you want to be aware of what subject matter you're doing, because there's a lot that plays into it, like just filtering by subject of what you have for your data. But again, as we go through here, I could just filter the HSS, or I can do all. And by default, again, however you're sorting these, right here is how they're set. If you want to do a multi-sort, because you weren't able to do that here, you can then sort by something else. The output. Now, I like to append and hyperlink. What append does is it's going to put this report and staple it to the back of the PDF set that you already have. And then you're able to click the icons and jumps you to somewhere on the page. I like that. If you don't, you can just decheck it. It comes out as its own report, not attached to your PDF set. From there below, you have the option of creating a custom template if you wanted to go through and create a template of how things are printed out. And I think when I have a second, I'm going to read Adam's. If I still have time, I'll try and cover it. But trying to get everything out in one instance in a webinar is a little bit different than the morning coffee review where you can ask questions. You have your flow style. So is it going to be flow or table? You have thumbnail. Is it going to be medium, large? Padding. So the padding is, and what this means is when your markup is made, how much are you going to see just of the markup versus the exterior part of the PDF? Lower the padding, more of the markup you see. Higher the padding, the more of the exterior of the PDF you'll see. So I'm going to go up right around there. And let's say you went through and created a custom column organization and filtered and sorting by a certain manner. And then you went and did some specific export things as well. You can save this config. This config is saved as a .bcf file extension, which is what I think Adam was trying to get to. So from here, then you can load it. So anytime you don't want to have to go through and re-click these columns, you just hit load. So be aware of that. It's for all three of these. You don't have to hit save on each one. The BCF file encompasses all of this. And by the way, you can print out any report from a folder if you wanted to. You don't have to have the PDF open for you to go through and do that. So I'm going to hit OK. I append it to the back. Let's see what this looks like. Now, as I go through, I'm going to have my itemized list of everything that's been placed. These didn't have any cost values. These did. So I'm going to have my HSS and see how I made a super large padding. Now you have a large area around it of what the PDF had behind it. Now, hey, here's everything. This is great, but maybe where was this markup made? It's a 100-page document set. I don't want to have to go through and click left and right and go through and check where this was made. All you have to do here now, since it has that hyperlink feature, is select the markup, and it brings you directly where you want it to be on the PDF set. This is great for your review and your process of going through and doing that. Okay. Yeah, Adam's going to have to come through. If you're listening to this again, Adam, you're going to have to come to MCR to ask that question because we'll be able to answer it there. Just don't have enough time to go through and talk about it here. Again, that is going through and printing out your custom summary report and how you can customize it and share it with other folks. Do we have any questions about the Markups List summary report export? All righty. Looks like we are all good. Hector, if you need to add a column, you have the Markups list here. You have columns, and you can go through and select any of your columns from out of the box. If you want to create a column, you can go through and go to Manage Column. So let's say height, right? If I click height, it's going to show me height. I can go to Manage Columns here. And from the Manage Columns location, these are all of your available ones that show up here. If you didn't want people to have or see some things, you can show that. And then custom columns is where you create your own. Now, by default, the custom columns live with the PDF, meaning you open the PDF, you'll see the custom columns because the data lives there with the markups in the columns. If you wanted these columns to always live with your profile, you need to hit Save to Profile. All righty. Any other questions? Well, thank you all for joining me today. The webinar is now complete. A recording will be sent out to all attendees. This is an open Q&A time. If you have or have not downloaded Bluebeam Review, there's your link. My name is Michael H. Have. I'm a senior AEC technical specialist. Feel free to check me out on LinkedIn. Is that / Yeah, / Michael Ichave. Feel free to check me out there. I post a bunch of stuff about review weekly. Also, check out our morning coffee review and subscribe to ATG's USA's YouTube channel, and also check out their LinkedIn or our company LinkedIn and see and stay up to date with everything that we are publishing. And if you are now just watching this on YouTube, please like and subscribe, and also add a comment if you'd like to add some other things. For everyone here in the webinar, you will have a survey at the end. Please let me know how I'm doing. I cannot be better at what I'm doing if I don't have any comments. If you like what I'm doing, please tell me, give me a 5-star rating or maybe a 3-star because I didn't add civil at the beginning. That also works too in my polls. I apologize for that for all you civil folks. But thank you all for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you all in the morning coffee review series. And this will complete our webinar. Unless someone else has a question, we have about 5 minutes left. I can go through and answer another question within Bluebeam pertaining to the topic that we talked about. All righty. Thank you all. I hope you have a great rest of your day and a great weekend coming forward. And I will see you all hopefully soon in the MCR.
Hey there, thanks for tuning in. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe and check out some of the other content on our channel.